There's a very simple reason why you worry, and the reason is that your future self might not look better than your current self. So, let me explain this using this year. This year has been the most at peace I've been. The least amount of worries and anxiety and overthinking I feel like I've had in my entire life. Now, certainly a part of the reason for that is because I feel financially stable, more financially stable than ever. I've built up enough savings over the past few years where my YouTube channel has done really well, and that's allowed a lot of financial peace. But even for things that aren't tied to finances, other metrics in my life that I used to really want to achieve at a certain point, like getting 1 million subscribers or having this many views per month on YouTube, I've kind of detached from that, and I focus on a much different metric for if I'm doing the right things in my life, and therefore I stop worrying as much. So a few years back was a very different Cole, which is a good thing. It's going to be related to the future self is better than the current self thing. Cole wanted to achieve 1 million subscribers as quickly as possible. I always had to be getting more views per video. It had to go up and up and up. And if it wasn't, I would panic and freak out. YouTube has a ranking system where your last 10 videos are ranked based on how many views they have gotten after 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, up to like 10 days or however long until you upload the next 10 videos. They're going to show you where that video ranks. And if a video was like 8 or 9 out of 10, then I would freak out. I'd be like, this video is tanking. I need to do something. I need to change the thumbnail and title 1 million times. I would worry. I would overthink, wonder what's happening here. Is my channel dying? And I would constantly worry about the fact that I might be going backwards, because my only metrics for whether I was growing or not was put into the views. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I worried about this because it made me feel like my future self, the Cole in the future, might not be as upgraded of a version as the current YouTube Cole. I worried that maybe in the future I might have less views or less loyal subscribers, and the growth will just slow down. And to me, that signaled I was being stagnant, I was complacent, or I was going backwards in my YouTube career and things were getting worse. So I worried that in the future, things would not be better, basically. That's where a lot of my worry came from. And I always needed things to go up. And it wasn't until I realized what the worrying was doing and what type of expectations I was attaching to myself that made me worry, that made me realize that doing this is actually only making my potential growth worse. So what I started to do in the past few months is, instead of value whether I should put pressure on myself and worry about things and really try to fix things and try to keep growing as much as possible on what my views looked like, how much money I was making per month, which, yeah, it's totally understandable to want those things to always go up. Instead, I focused on, like, this was the only question I asked myself was, are the things I'm doing right now in the present moment contributing to a version of myself that would be more fulfilled and at peace in the future? And when I answered that question, it was so much less related to metrics than I thought. For instance, my content has evolved quite a bit, even in the past like half a year. I have made a lot more video essays recently. Video essays on modern issues seem to be doing better than self-improvement videos. I've talked about on this channel how self-improvement's just kind of in a lull period, it feels like right now. At least my audience doesn't want to watch it, but it feels like in general. And now I'm doing research on things that I never really understood, but I knew I needed to get a better grip on, like politics or modern issues or social issues that expand past just improving yourself. I'm much more focused on relationships, things that affect the entire world. I know that self-improvement videos are really great for positively impacting people, but what I was teaching was like, hey, here's what you can do for yourself. But now it's more about here's what you can do for other people. And I think that is the natural evolution of self-improvement. So that's a metric I'm now looking at instead of, am I getting more views? Am I making more money every single month or year? Is what is my content looking like from now to last year? And there's been a huge change, huge evolution. And I haven't really been posting as much as I did last year. Last year, it was at least once a week. And I don't know how many weeks I missed, but it was much less than this year. I've been posting less and focusing more on listening to what makes me feel good and at peace. I'm not putting so much pressure on grinding so hard just so things can keep going up. And funnily enough, I feel the most at peace I've ever been. And those metrics are so much more important to me now. How much more fulfilled do I feel on a day-to-day basis? How much healthier do I feel? Because I've been focusing a lot more on my health and being fit rather than, again, this is another metric, being as big as possible. I always wanted the weights to continue going up in the gym and my muscle mass to go up. Like I wanted to be as big as possible. Just more focused on appearance-based things. And once I instead started to focus on mobility and athleticism, I've been doing hill sprints, running a few miles a week. Ever since I finished marathon training, I've kept running in my regimen because I think it's amazing. But really simplifying my weightlifting routine as well. And I would say I do less volume now in both running compared to marathon training and weightlifting, but I feel the healthiest I ever have. I'm not the biggest I've ever been, but I'm the most athletic, fit, mobile I think I've ever been in my life, especially at this weight at 205 pounds. I've lost about 10 pounds now since the start of this year. And I feel so much better now that I'm not trying to get everything to go upward. And instead, I'm just focusing on that one question, which is what I'm doing in the present moment right now contributing to a future self that will feel fulfilled and at peace and enhanced in all areas? And that doesn't have to be related to just money going up, just views going up. That's usually a byproduct. But once you attach those expectations with metrics to what you're doing in the present moment, that's when you start to worry. So to explain that a little bit further, once you say, I need to get this amount of views by 6 months from now, I need to have this many subscribers by a year from now, and you attach a bunch of expectations to yourself when it doesn't look like those expectations are going to be met, then you start to worry. When you have a bunch of expectations attached to your future, when you think your future self is not going to be a better version of yourself, and you're not even focusing on the health aspects of it, the fulfillment aspect of it, the peace aspect of it, but instead just the metrics, the outward appearance, what other people consider to be valuable and to be considered successful in this life. If you instead just did the things that you know would contribute to growth in the future, in the present moment, and you were so focused on action in the present moment, good, positive action for yourself, then, and you would detached expectations for what you're going to get out of that action, to at least some extent. I know that having goals is important. I instead just say, I would like to show up to YouTube once a week or once every 2 weeks. I would like to, by the end of this year, feel an 8 out of 10 most days. So instead of attaching the expectations to something that you can't control, you instead attach it to what are you doing on a daily basis. That's the type of expectations you should have and put on yourself, not how many subscribers or how much money can I make by 2024. And if you don't get there, then you're going to be worrying. And the time you're trying to get there, you're going to be worrying. Because when you are so focused on now, on the present moment, and doing good things that you know will produce results in the future, no matter what, then it doesn't matter really how much of those results you get, because you're too focused on right now, on doing what you're supposed to be doing. So once you detach the expectations and then just focus on producing things in the present moment. Like right now, I'm making this video. I don't know how well it's going to do. I don't have expectations for how well it's going to do. I don't need it to reach a certain amount of views. I'm just focused on, I know doing this thing right now, making this video, is good for my future self. And I know it will lead to a YouTube channel that has more subscribers in the future. That's it. The worry is done. There's a quote that is something along the lines of, those who worry about the future are too busy being surpassed by the ones creating it right now. And guaranteed, your future self is going to look better than the you right now. And I'm able to convince myself of that probably more than most people because I have enough evidence as well. See, overthinking is also a big confidence problem more than anything. Overthinking and worrying. Because if you were confident that no matter what happens in the future, you can handle it. No matter if the business goes haywire or the family disowns you or whatever, like you could get through it somehow because you know how much you've gotten through in the past, then you wouldn't worry about practically anything in the future because you know you could handle it. I have enough evidence now to prove that I can get through anything. I know that I can bounce back from anything. And I don't know what's coming in the future. And I'm fine with that because I know I can handle it because I've built enough proof over the years. Because I've showed up for myself consistently in the present by doing good things for myself every single day. So that way I know in the future things are almost guaranteed to be better. And even if they aren't, which I haven't mentioned, even if they aren't, I know I have the confidence to know that in the future I'll be able to figure it out no matter what. And you do that by just focusing on what can I do today that will ensure that my future self is better off than I am now. It's that simple. As long as you answer that question every single day and you set up a list of things you should do on a daily basis, and then detach yourself from all the metrics you need to have by a certain point in your life, you don't worry as much anymore.